Bienvenidos de vuelta a El Planeta. Hoy estamos en el parque de Chelsea, al frente de la estación de la policía, que le llaman también el parque de la policía aquí en Chelsea, Massachusetts. En este especial de El Planeta hoy estamos conversando con el candidato a vicegobernador Leland, quien también, como lo mencionamos, es concejal en la ciudad de Cambridge. Leland, thank you very much again for being here at El Planeta hoy. We would like to talk about your career in the city council.
Yeah.
How did you become city councilor?
Well, in 2009, I had been working in the technology industry in investing in companies. And I realized the council race was just picking up, but no one was talking about an issue that I thought was extremely important to our community. Namely, people were saying, oh, it's so great, we have Google and Microsoft and these startups. But no one was talking about the kids living in public housing, literally 2 blocks away, that weren't getting the education or the support or the mentorship they needed to one day work there.
Le pregunté cómo se convirtió en concejal de la ciudad de Cambridge y él nos dice que todo surgió en el 2009 cuando él estaba invirtiendo en compañías de tecnología, lo que nos conversó anteriormente. Dice que en ese tiempo él se daba cuenta que se hablaba mucho de tenemos a Google, tenemos tecnología, compañía A, B o C. Sin embargo, poco se hablaba de los chicos, de la gente joven que vivía en casas, en proyectos que estaban muy cerca de estos lugares de tecnología, de estos puntos de desarrollo tecnológico.
And over the last 5 years on the council, I've earned a reputation as one of the most progressive, productive, responsive members of the council, fighting to improve education from pre-K to workforce training programs, fighting to make sure that we're respectful of the diversity of our communities, fighting to add funding for senior centers, to youth centers, to ESOL classes for people who are new to the country and trying to learn English, fighting to make sure that we keep bilingual classrooms so that people can keep their native language even as they're going to school and learning in English. And I've been fighting for these things and fighting to represent the underrepresented in Cambridge over the last 5 years.
Muy bien, entonces nos cuenta que en los últimos 5 años en que ha estado en el Consejo de Cambridge, él se ha destacado, se ha hecho conocido justamente por su lucha en varios aspectos. Por ejemplo, el de la educación, ha luchado mucho porque se dé una mejor educación, mejores en la educación, educación para las personas que están aprendiendo inglés como segundo idioma, ESL, para que se respete la diversidad de la ciudad, y ha tenido mucho éxito en esta lucha para que se logren estos y otras cosas como un concejal progresista, un concejal luchador. So that's your story at the city council of Cambridge. And then what was the connection of being a city councilor and then wanted to go to the state level?
3 years ago, I wrote an article in the Globe criticizing the governor and our Secretary of Economic Development over a policy I thought was pitting cities against each other instead of encouraging us to work together. The governor's punishment to me was to appoint me to the board of our state's Economic Development Agency. And through that, I've realized that the same issues that I've been tackling in Cambridge are the same challenges and opportunities we face across the Commonwealth in every city and town in Massachusetts.
Nos cuenta que su decisión de lanzarse a candidato para vicegobernador de Massachusetts comenzó aproximadamente 3 años atrás, cuando él escribió un artículo de opinión para el Boston Globe en el que criticaba la labor del gobernador. A raíz de este artículo, él fue nombrado para el Board de Economic Development Committee, para el Comité de Desarrollo Económico de Massachusetts, y pues en el artículo él criticaba justamente que se hacía competir a muchas ciudades en lugar de que trabajen conjuntamente, y se dio cuenta a través de su labor como miembro de este comité que las cosas que estaban pasando, los problemas que estaban pasando en la ciudad de Cambridge eran muy parecidos a nivel de what were happening in Cambridge was happening also, the problems that were happening in Cambridge were happening also at the state level.
Absolutely.
Y vio una oportunidad para trabajar no solamente desde el nivel de una ciudad, sino al nivel de todo el estado. You saw an opportunity to work not only from a city perspective, but statewide.
Yes, and I've never met a single person who lives inside of a budget line item on Beacon Hill. We all live in our cities and towns, in our communities, and it's oftentimes the city councilors, the Board of Select men and women, our city managers, who are having to fill the budget gaps to make sure that classes for ESOL aren't cut, that funding for education is adequate, that we're giving every single person who's in Massachusetts a real shot and treating them equally and treating them like people to make sure that we can invest in them and educate them and give them infrastructure so they can then give back to the Commonwealth as a whole.
Nos está diciendo que él en su experiencia ha visto que son los alcaldes, los city managers, las personas que están a nivel de la ciudad, quienes están constantemente ocupándose de que las personas tengan igualdad de oportunidades. So you say you haven't seen in Beacon Hill the same level of like interest for the people that you see in the city at the city level.
Yeah.
Correct?
On the whole, decisions are made that adversely impact our communities, especially our immigrant communities, our communities of color, our first-generation Americans, people that are often don't have as strong of a voice as people that have lived here for generations. And those voices need to be heard, they need to be represented, they need to be defended. And I've seen that happen in Cambridge, and that's why I'm running for Lieutenant Governor.
Nos dice que él ha visto en Cambridge cómo se defiende la voz de las personas que necesitan que sean escuchadas, personas que muchas veces no son escuchadas, y él quiere que se haga lo mismo a nivel estatal y por eso está corriendo para vicegobernador. Ahora le vamos a preguntar al candidato Leland cuáles son algunas de sus propuestas, que nos explique algunas de sus propuestas en esta carrera de vicegobernador. We will talk now about some of your proposals, your campaign platforms. What do you think is important about the streets? I know you would like to make our streets safer.
Yes.
Do you have any plan for that?
Yes. Safe streets begin with safe communities that offer every single resident the opportunity to have a safe home, the opportunity to have a career that pays them a living wage, not just a minimum wage. And so I'm in favor of gun control that makes sure that we're getting guns off of the streets. I'm in favor of treating every single person as a human being, so not just automatically incarcerating and sending to prison every first-time offender. I led the charge in Cambridge against ICE, automatically running every single person you pull over who looks a little bit Hispanic against the database and potentially destroying families by kicking people out of the country that did nothing wrong. I've been a leader in terms of making sure that we're providing career opportunities for every single person in our community, no matter their ethnicity, no matter their family income, no matter what zip code they live in, no matter where they come from.
Él propone un mejor control de las armas ilegales para que éstas salgan de la calle. Nos cuenta que él quisiera también proponer que muchas personas que hacen su primera ofensa y que no necesitan ir a la cárcel inmediatamente, no sean llevadas a la cárcel inmediatamente. También nos cuenta cómo su lucha a nivel de la ciudad de Cambridge se podría trasladar o la propone trasladar a lo que sería el estado. En Cambridge él abogó para que cuando la policía captura a alguien no sea inmediatamente puesto a disposición de ICE. Nos cuenta que pasaba mucho con personas hispanas, latinas, que inmediatamente eran sospechosas y se les chequeaba para ver si tenían algo y puestas a disposición de ICE. Y él ha luchado contra eso.
I've also been an advocate for not just investing in the militarization of our police, but investing in our people and investing in social workers and investing in programs that actually help people get to where they want to go.
A él no solamente le preocupa que la policía esté mejor equipada, sino que también le importa el lado humano y también el lado de servicios sociales para personas que lo necesitan. Social services, servicios sociales para quienes lo necesitan. Now, Leland, what about the problem of housing that we have in the state of Massachusetts and the rates of homelessness, the problem with the many homeless people in our state?
So, as the only candidate who's served in elected office for the last 5 years on the city council, I've been dealing with this issue firsthand. The reality is we need to build more affordable housing for people across the Commonwealth. We need to make sure that we start thinking of ourselves as one entire Commonwealth. We have 4 metro hubs in Massachusetts. We're often compared to Silicon Valley, which is 2 hours end to end. Massachusetts is about 2 hours end to end. But for some reason, the concentration of people living in the Boston metro area has caused housing prices to go through the roof, where people can't even afford to live here anymore. That's not right. If we make our other metro hubs as attractive to live in as the Boston metro area and Chelsea and Cambridge and Revere are, then that's how we can ease some of the congestion, ease some of the hyperinflation of housing prices and rent prices. I also have been an advocate for putting funding into programs, provide transitionary programs for homeless individuals. Instead of just sending them to prison or to jail, we need real transitionary programs to take care of those in our community who are most in need. If any one of us were to become homeless tomorrow, we'd have a suite of medical and mental issues you can't even imagine. And the only way to deal with homelessness is to build housing and transitionary housing and programs that support it to help get our homeless off of the streets.
Muy bien, hemos conversado de dos tópicos. El primero, que fue lo que nos acaba de mencionar ahora, es el problema de las personas sin hogar. Nos dice que él propone más casas de transición, pues es necesario que para aquellas personas que se quedan sin hogar, personas que son homeless, tengan casas de transición o viviendas de transición que sean efectivas, que los ayuden a reintegrarse a la sociedad. También nos cuenta del problema del housing, la vivienda, la escasez de vivienda, los precios de la vivienda, los problemas que tenemos en Massachusetts, que todos los conocemos con los altos precios que pagamos aquí por vivir en una casa en Boston, Revere, Chelsea, Cambridge. Nos dice que él ha vivido la problemática desde el Consejo Municipal de Cambridge y lo que él propone es hacer de Massachusetts un estado en donde no solamente sea Boston, no solamente sea Revere, no solamente sea Chelsea, sino que existan otros centros lo suficientemente atractivos para que la concentración de habitantes no se dé en un solo lugar, sino que se repartan los habitantes por todo el estado y todo el estado se vuelva un estado atractivo para vivir. Now, Leland, let's talk about immigration. What are your proposals from the immigration point of view for if you become lieutenant governor?
Yeah. Our plan is to support the governor's agenda and also use the power of the bully pulpit as lieutenant governor to fight for immigrant rights. I was the only person currently running for lieutenant governor who spoke out when Governor Patrick was talking about taking in the refugee kids from South America. And people were saying, oh, these illegal immigrants. And I said, no, they're refugees. They're kids. They had no choice. You know, they're kids. They don't make a decision. Their parents were often lied to, killed. What are we going to do? Send them back? It's the humane thing to do to keep them in our city. Also, I am the only ethnic minority running for any position statewide this year in Massachusetts. Frankly, it's shameful. We think that we are a diverse, progressive, liberal state. To not have diversity of representation in our elected office, we need it in order to make sure that everyone feels welcome, everyone feels represented. And 2 years ago, I was appointed by Chairman John Walsh of the Democratic Party to help draft our party's platform. And I worked on more sections than anyone else except for the chair to help make that document more progressive. Talking about homelessness, talking about low-income residents in our communities, and talking about immigration.
Nos hace notar que él es el único candidato de una minoría étnica que está corriendo a nivel estatal, al state level. Yeah. Y nos dice que esto de aquí es algo que en un estado como Massachusetts, que es un estado progresista, es algo inaudito, de no debe ser. Nos dice él que él ha ayudado desde el Democratic Committee, yeah, el Comité Demócrata, a poner los planes del partido de una manera más progresista que refleje la diversidad de nuestro estado.
And I want to add that during that drafting process, the topic of immigration was one of the most talked about needs to have in the party platform. But it wasn't a section before, it was a brand new section. So there was no one actually assigned to write it. Even though the Latino caucus, people across the Commonwealth, there was more input on immigration than any other section. And I fought as part of the drafting committee to make sure that we represented people's voices and included it as a section. But I got a call a couple days before the book was supposed to go to print to be voted on at the Democratic Party convention. And they said, Leland, we know that you've been an advocate for immigrant rights. We know that you've been vocally supportive of thinking about our minority communities in Massachusetts, but we don't have anything to vote on. I said, send me what you have. The night before the book was supposed to go to print, I got 200 pages of raw notes from people across the Commonwealth that had made their voices heard and tried to give input into the process. It was like being in college again. I spent all night turning those 200 pages into that paragraph and 8 bullets that was adopted at the convention as the new platform for the Democratic Party on immigration.
Nos cuenta cómo él ayudó a escribir la plataforma de inmigración del Partido Demócrata después de la convención. Y fue una historia, nos compara a sentirse en el college, que le llegaron 200 páginas con propuestas de la gente que se hizo escuchar, las voces de personas que se hicieron escuchar con propuestas, con ideas, y él hizo un resumen de 8 puntos, que son los puntos que están en la plataforma, y él formó parte de este proceso de elaboración de lo que es el documento que constituye la plataforma, y ahora incluye a la inmigración como un tema muy importante.
So when it comes to immigrants, in the immigrant community and first-generation Americans and minorities across the Commonwealth, there is nobody running for lieutenant governor who will fight harder than I will to make sure that those aren't just words on paper, but that we actually put them into action.
Nos dice que no hay nadie, las personas que están corriendo para el cargo de vicegobernador, que sientan la pasión de luchar como él por los inmigrantes, por los derechos de los inmigrantes. Nos dice que si él llega al cargo, nos promete que él luchará por los inmigrantes y por el tema de la inmigración.
Yeah.
Leland, I would like to conclude this interview with a message for our viewers. What would you tell them? Why would you tell them that they should consider you for the position of lieutenant governor?
Yeah.
¿Por qué nos dirías que deberían las personas considerarlo para el cargo de vicegobernador?
I'm the only person running for lieutenant governor who has a real plan and the experience necessary, from my time in the private sector to the work I've done in local office to the work I've done at the state and national level, expanding opportunity to everyone across the Commonwealth. I'm the only person who can be a productive partner for our next governor to move us forward on the issues of long-term importance, making sure that every single child gets a quality education, making sure that everyone has access to a career, not just a job, making sure that everyone in our Commonwealth is treated with dignity and respect and treated as a person who has the potential to give back to the Commonwealth. I'm the only minority running for any office statewide this year. And I've been judged based on how I look my entire life. Ever since I was a little kid, I've been judged. So I might not be from the same community as you, but we share the same experiences having come to Massachusetts and living in a state where, frankly, the representation we have in elected office doesn't reflect the people that live here. We need to work together. We need to work together to make sure that our collective voices are heard, that people in power understand that we're willing to stand up and fight for each other and for what we believe in and to make a better Commonwealth. Because frankly, only by working together, only by investing in one another, can we make sure that anyone who's dreaming of a better life is able to find it right here in Massachusetts, and that's why I'm running for lieutenant governor.
Muy bien, nos dice, para hacer un resumen, que a pesar de que él y nosotros venimos de diferentes comunidades, compartimos como inmigrantes las mismas experiencias, compartimos las mismas aspiraciones, y él abogará para que haya igualdad de oportunidades para todos, para que el estado sea un mejor estado para vivir, que Massachusetts sea un mejor lugar para vivir. Now, Leland, I would like you to invite people to vote on September 9. It's very important.
So the election is coming up fast. The vote is on September 9th, Tuesday. I need all of you to go out and vote, to make sure to tell all of your friends we're in a very close race. The margin is razor thin. And I need you to come out and vote for me on September 9th. So that I can go to work partnering with you to make sure that your communities, your homes, your families, your children, all of your relatives have all the resources that they need to get wherever they want to get in life.
Recuerde votar el 9 de septiembre, su voto es su voz, hágase escuchar, y si no tiene pues la facultad de votar en las elecciones del 9 de septiembre, vaya y toque la puerta a sus vecinos y amigos y recuérdeles que ese día deben salir a votar. Ya lo saben, no importa por quién vota, lo importante es que se haga escuchar. Muchas gracias, Leland, por estar con nosotros. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you en El Planeta Hoy. Esto fue El Planeta Hoy. Nos vemos en otro episodio.
Gracias.